Imagine this: a stormy night, a courtroom waiting for its champion, and a man whose very presence could change the outcome of justice itself. But just hours before the trial begins, the lawyer meant to stand at the defense table disappears without a trace. No goodbye, no explanation, only silence. This is not just another mystery. This is the story of the lawyer who vanished before trial. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will keep you questioning until the very last second. Welcome to our channel, where we uncover chilling mysteries, stories of law, crime, and the shadows that hide behind justice. If you love tales that blend legal drama with haunting disappearances, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a comment with your theories. We love hearing from you. The night the city lost one of its brightest legal minds began like a scene from a thriller. A storm had rolled in from the east, casting jagged streaks of lightning across the skyline. The courthouse, a looming monument of stone and marble, stood like a sentinel in the heart of downtown. Inside, silence hung heavy in the air. The judge's bench was polished, the jury seats arranged with precision, and on the defense table lay a single folder waiting for its owner. But the man meant to sit there, the lawyer whose voice could shift the balance of justice, never arrived. That man was Mark Thompson, and his disappearance would not only change the fate of his client, but would ignite a mystery that has haunted legal circles, investigators, and the public for decades. Mark Thompson's career was the stuff of legends. He was the lawyer people called when all hope was lost. Some said he had a gift and uncanny ability to spot the single thread of weakness in a case and pull until the whole thing unraveled. He came from a family where law wasn't just a career. It was a destiny carved into the bloodline. His father, Richard Thompson, was a hard-nosed prosecutor known for his brutal courtroom tactics. His mother, Evelyn, a family court judge, was respected for her unwavering sense of fairness. Between them, Mark inherited both the steel of the law and the warmth of human empathy, or so it seemed. From a young age, he showed flashes of brilliance. Teachers recalled a boy who never shied away from debate, who questioned authority, and who turned even casual conversations into arguments he was determined to win. In law school, he was described as magnetic. Professors wrote that his mind worked like a blade, fast, sharp, sometimes cutting to deep. He was charming, captivating even, but beneath that confidence lay an edge of recklessness. By his early 30s, Thompson had made a name for himself in ways that divided opinion. He defended clients others refused to touch: drug lords, corrupt officials, men accused of horrific crimes. To the public, he was either a hero of justice or a symbol of everything wrong with the legal system, but no one could deny his talent. He won cases others deemed hopeless, exposing flaws in evidence, dismantling prosecution witnesses, and weaving stories that planted seeds of doubt in even the most certain juror's mind. But fame came with shadows. Colleagues whispered of his volatile personal life. His marriage to Julia, a literature professor, was unraveling in full view of their friends. Rumors swirled of affairs, late nights in exclusive bars, debts with no clear source. There were also mutterings of connections to dangerous clients who didn't just pay in checks, but in favors, secrets, and threats. A former colleague once admitted Mark wasn't just fighting cases. He was fighting demons, and some of those demons weren't his own. They belonged to the people he was protecting. In early spring, Thompson took on the case of Daniel Harris, a man accused of armed robbery that had escalated into murder. The crime shocked the city. A convenience store clerk was found shot dead during what should have been a simple theft. The evidence stacked against Harris was crushing: fingerprints on the weapon, eyewitness testimony, security footage, and even a blooded glove found in his car. The prosecution painted Harris as a career criminal finally caught red-handed. The public was ready to see him condemned. For most lawyers, it was a case to avoid. But Thompson wasn't like most lawyers. He told colleagues that the evidence was too neat, too perfect, as if someone had arranged it. He claimed to have discovered something buried in the case files that could turn the entire trial upside down. He became obsessed, staying in his office until dawn, scribbling notes, redrafting arguments, and muttering that the trial was bigger than anyone realized. One colleague recalled him saying, "This isn't about Harris. This is about the system itself. If I bring the truth into that courtroom, people far above us won't let it stand." But outside the courtroom, Thompson's life was cracking. His wife, Julia, confided to friends that Mark had grown paranoid. He would wake in the middle of the night, convinced someone was watching the apartment. He stopped answering certain phone calls, locked his files away with new codes, and warned her not to trust anyone, not even his closest colleagues. Debt collectors knocked on their door more frequently. Julia noticed large sums of money disappearing from their accounts. When she confronted him, he brushed it off, insisting it was just trial expenses, but she wasn't convinced. The closer the trial loomed, the stranger his behavior became. Associates described him as brilliant in the office by day, but haunted by night. He was seen staring out of windows for hours, scribbling notes and tearing them to pieces, muttering that he knew too much. The night before the trial was heavy with storm clouds, as if the sky itself sensed the weight of what was about to unfold. Downtown, the wind whipped through empty streets, bending traffic lights and rattling windows. Inside the offices of Hunter and Associates, Mark Thompson worked alone. Security cameras captured him entering at 9:14 p.m., his shoulders hunched, his briefcase clutched tightly in his hand. Colleagues had already gone home, leaving the vast office eerily silent. The janitor later recalled hearing footsteps pacing the halls, followed by the sound of papers being shuffled, tossed, and shredded. Mark's office light burned late into the night. An associate who left around 10 o'clock swore she heard him muttering to himself, "They won't let me present this. They won't let it see daylight." By 11:30, he appeared restless. He stared out of his window at the rain-slicked streets below. Some say he was waiting for someone. Others believe he was deciding whether to flee. At 11:47 p.m., the cameras caught him leaving the building for the last time. He walked quickly, glancing over his shoulder as though someone might be following. The storm swallowed him whole. The next morning, Julia Thompson awoke to an empty bed. At first, she thought nothing of it. Late nights at the office were common. But by 8 a.m., when Mark hadn't returned, unease settled in. She called his phone. No answer. She called the office. No one had seen him since the night before. When police entered their apartment later that day, they found unsettling details. Dinner had been half-eaten on the table. A glass of wine sat untouched beside his plate. His coat hung neatly by the door, his car parked outside, keys still in his pocket. His phone lay on the nightstand, powered off. On his desk sat a single sheet of paper, handwritten. "If anything happens to me, remember it wasn't an accident." At the courthouse, chaos reigned. By 9 a.m., reporters buzzed with rumors. The defense table sat empty, the judge fidgeted with his gavel, and Daniel Harris, the accused, looked like a man awaiting a ship that would never arrive. The judge delayed proceedings, hoping Thompson would appear. An hour passed, then another. Finally, with pressure mounting, the trial moved forward. The prosecution seized the moment. They argued that Thompson's absence was a sign of guilt not just for Harris, but perhaps for Thompson himself. The suggestion that lawyer and client were in league with each other rippled through the courtroom. The jury, already shaken by the drama, listened with wide eyes. By day's end, the trial became less about Daniel Harris and more about the lawyer who had vanished. Reporters filled the airwaves with questions. Where is Mark Thompson? Did he flee? Was he silenced? Or is something even darker at play? Police mobilized quickly. They combed through his office, riffled through his files, traced his last phone calls. His bank records revealed something startling. Over the course of 3 days, Mark had withdrawn nearly $20,000 in cash. None of it was ever found. Witnesses came forward with eerie fragments. A gas station attendant swore Mark stopped in at 2:13 a.m., drenched from the rain, buying nothing, staring nervously at the door. Surveillance footage confirmed he was there until it suddenly cut to static just as he turned to leave. Another witness claimed he boarded a northbound train around 3 a.m., yet no ticket was purchased under his name. Others said they saw a black sedan idling near his apartment building that night, its engine running long after he disappeared. As detectives dug deeper, the cracks in Mark's life widened. Julia admitted that he had grown increasingly paranoid in the weeks before. He had told her someone was watching him, that he was being followed, that he couldn't trust anyone, not even his colleagues. Friends confirmed he was drinking more, working later, and often snapping at those around him. He spoke of a truth too dangerous to reveal. One colleague even remembered him whispering, "If I win this case, I may not survive it." Theories spread like wildfire. Had he fled under the weight of debts and personal demons? Had he been silenced for what he uncovered? Or was his disappearance a carefully orchestrated plan to start anew? By the end of the week, the trial collapsed into spectacle. With no defense strategy left intact, Daniel Harris was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But the greater trial, the one fought in the streets, the newspapers, and the whispers of darkened bars, was about Mark Thompson. A lawyer once described as fearless had walked out of his office and into the storm, leaving nothing behind but a cryptic note and a legacy of unanswered questions. And with every passing day, the mystery only deepened. One detective revealed, years later, that Mark's briefcase was found abandoned in a downtown alley 2 weeks after he vanished. Inside were scattered papers, most ruined by rain, but one note remained legible: "The evidence isn't real." They built it. Another lead came from a cab driver who swore he picked up a man resembling Mark that night. The passenger, drenched and shaking, had asked to be taken to the edge of the industrial district. Halfway there, he panicked, demanding to be let out early. The cabbie remembered the look in his eyes, wild, hunted, as though shadows were chasing him through the rain. But perhaps the most chilling discovery came from his apartment's answering machine. Julia played back a voicemail left at 12:19 a.m., just hours before she realized he was gone. The voice was male, distorted, almost mechanical. "You don't show up tomorrow." You know why? Police could never trace the call. Theories refused to die. Some claimed it was a mental breakdown. Others argued it was a conspiracy, that he uncovered evidence tying powerful men to crimes. Another camp swore he staged everything and escaped to a new life. And then came the whispers of something darker, beyond the reach of logic, the shadow theory that Mark had stumbled into forces that were never meant to be unearthed. Years later, Julia spoke in a rare interview. He told me he felt hunted. He would wake up and sit at the edge of the bed, staring at the door like he expected it to burst open. He promised me that once this trial was over, we would leave the city, start fresh. But deep down, I think he knew he never would. A retired detective added, "We were told to stop digging. There were connections names we weren't supposed to touch." When an investigation gets shut down from the top, you know you've stumbled into something bigger than you can handle. A fellow lawyer recalled, he said, "If they come for me, it won't be because of the case it lines, be because of what the case is tied to." Harris isn't the story. He's just the spark. Decades have passed, but Mark Thompson's ghost never left the city. Law students study his cases as cautionary tales. Professors speak his name in hushed tones. Each anniversary, the same questions return. Sometimes, citing spark headlines: a man in Chicago, another in Berlin, a figure on a beach in South America. None confirmed. His family lives with absence. Julia remarried but admits she still dreams of him. His son, now grown, became a law enforcer chasing the ghost of the father who slipped away. And so we come to the final question. What truly happened to Mark Thompson? Investigators searched every corner, examined his finances, questioned his friends, but the truth never emerged. Some swore they saw his shadow boarding a train. Others claimed he vanished into a city where no one knew his name. Yet, with each passing year, one fact remained unshaken. Mark Thompson never returned to the courtroom, and his fate was never revealed. Was he the victim of a powerful conspiracy? Did he choose to run, abandoning his life behind him? Or did something far darker consume him on that stormy night? No one knows. What we do know is that his story has become legend told in law schools, whispered in courthouse halls, a chilling reminder of how fragile justice can be when confronted with shadows. And that is how the story of the lawyer who vanished before trial ends. But remember, not every case is closed, not every mystery finds an answer. Sometimes the shadows are the final judge. If you found this story gripping, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think happened to Mark Thompson? Murder, escape, or something stranger still? Don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe for more stories where law and darkness collide. Until next time, remember the shadows are always closer than you think.